Let him get up. I'm stuck.
If there's one political issue that defined 2025, it would be immigration. President Trump campaigned on the promise of closing the borders and restricting legal immigration.
All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
And immediately after Trump took office, ICE started carrying out raids in sanctuary cities and detaining tens of thousands of people around the country.
You're seeing grandmas, you're seeing children, you're seeing families, you're seeing business owners, you're seeing people who are just standing in line waiting to go to work, being snatched out of those lines, hauled off by men in masks, never to be heard from again, presumably.
The scene playing out again and again throughout the year.
Multiple large Border Patrol agents holding down one landscape worker.
PhD student and Fulbright scholar at Tufts University was taken off a residential street in Somerville, Massachusetts.
New Yorkers rallied for this 6-year-old boy who Trump's immigration agents took away from his father.
I covered the story of Nori Santai Ramos and her mother, Estela, who were deported to Guatemala after being detained at an immigration check-in appointment in Los Angeles. They had been there for weeks when I went there to visit them.
You're praying a lot?
Yes. I pray every single day to be able to have an opportunity to go back.
Nori's mother ultimately died in Guatemala 2 months after being sent there, leaving Nori to navigate life on her own. In June, the National Guard was deployed to Los Angeles by President Trump to respond to protests against federal immigration raids. California Senator Alex Padilla was forcefully removed from a press conference there after he tried to question Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem about methods of immigration enforcement in his state.
Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you don't my hands, go ahead. Put them behind my back.
All right. Cool. Good hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
And L.A. was only the first of the Democratic-led cities to be targeted by the National Guard. They were also sent to Washington, D.C., Chicago, Portland, Oregon, and Memphis, Tennessee. There were also 2 high-profile court cases involving immigrants, Mahmoud Khalil, who was detained despite being in the U.S. legally, and Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was deported to El Salvador despite a judge's order.
Their stories have become flashpoints in a much larger struggle over who we are as a nation and who we are becoming.
Mahmoud Khalil was a Columbia University graduate student and legal U.S. resident who was apprehended at his home and separated from his pregnant wife by ICE agents in what supporters call an illegal arrest.
The moment that ICE apprehend you, you don't have any rights. You're expected to follow orders, not to know anything.
They say he was targeted for speaking out about his pro-Palestinian viewpoint and advocating for an end to the war in Gaza. Once in custody, the Department of Homeland Security transferred Khalil to an ICE processing center in Louisiana, where he was held for 104 days until a federal judge ordered his release.
The Trump administration admits to an administrative error when it deported a man living in Maryland with protected legal status to the mega prison in El Salvador.
Abrego was deported in March back to his home country and immediately imprisoned there, despite a 2019 court order blocking his removal. His attorneys say he had permission to work in the U.S. The Trump administration eventually brought him back, but charged him with 2 counts of human smuggling, for which he has pled not guilty. His case continues to work its way through the courts, and a judge recently ordered his release from detention.
I stand here today with my head held up high.
In response to the thousands of encounters all year, some people have started pushing back against ICE.
The Home Depot in Manhattan, in New York City, filled up with people shouting in the aisles about standing with immigrants. ICE out of Home Depot.
In some areas, community organizers even started programs to teach residents how to protect themselves or others from ICE agents.
What's the most important thing that you've taken away from being at these trainings and actually being out in the field in the face of the Border Patrol being here?
I think obviously watching someone literally being detained, but I felt like our presence and the way that the rest of the folks in the parking lot at the grocery store where we were located, the community coming together prevented that from being executed. They let them go.
They let him go. They let him go. 2025 comes to a close with uncertainty for so many immigrants, but also with some hope, thanks to communities who are stepping up to help their neighbors. Jacob Soboroff, MS Now.